Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to my Satisfactory playthrough. So I have been busy working on my nuclear setup. So if any of you guys missed my last video, the last video goes through like a sort of automated spreadsheet where I have automated the complete nuclear setup. So all you have to do is like download that spreadsheet, put in the amount of uranium that you have, and it will just give you how much power you can generate like with zero waste, right? So it's like completely automated. So if you want, please feel free to check out that video. So yeah, but this video I wanted to go over all the blueprints that I had to do and I completed for my nuclear setup. So my nuclear setup has lots of materials that I need to make, like in between materials like electromagnetic control rods, etc. And all of these needs its own factories. And some of these, I underestimated how much I had to make. I actually have to make a lot of factories. So I have been working on that. So when I was working on that, I was like, maybe I should first explain the blueprints in one of the earlier videos before showing like the final nuclear power plant. So this video, I'll just go through all the blueprints that I'll be working through. So for my nuclear setup, the first factory or sort of a setup that I need to have is to make encased uranium cells. And this needs encased uranium cells, yes. So I am using this recipe. So this uses uranium, sulfur, which are like raw resources, so I don't need to make much. Silica, which is also a raw resource because I just use quartz to convert to silica. So I don't need to make a blueprint for this. But then there is this quick wire. I need 900 quick wire for just 300 uranium. So I'm planning on bringing 300 uranium. So that's my nuclear setup for my power plant. And that needs 900 quick wire to make encased uranium cells. So for that, I just made a simple blueprint over here. Let me just come here and load. Let's see, this one. Yes. What change? Okay. So yeah, so this is the Kytarium blueprint. It's a very simple blueprint. I use the pure Kytarium, of course, because I do need quite a bit of Kytarium. So I wanted to maximize the throughput. So I'm using pure Kytarium ingots, which makes 12 Kytarium ingots. And from that, I'm just directly converting it into quick wire. So this is the direct recipe that I'm using. So I'll get 60. So totally I'll get 240 quick wire with just raw Kytarium ore input. So that's this blueprint. A very simple to use blueprint. It says it needs 96 water in, 96 Kytarium in, which is over here, and it'll just go through. So this one I'll just have to plop down how many? Like 3 or 4. If I want to reduce some, I can just delete 1 or 2 refineries, etc. to make it perfect, because 900 is not divisible by 240, right? So this produces 240, but I actually need 900. So I can just adjust it. That's not an issue, but I just wanted to make a quick wire blueprint. So this is the blueprint. And that produced the encased uranium cells. So encased uranium cells is done. Now next is the uranium fuel rods. That's the recipe. And for that, I will use encased uranium cells, and then I do the electromagnetic control rods. Now that though, electromagnetic control rods are, I have 2 recipes. I plan to use the first recipe just because the blueprints are a lot simpler. This high-speed connector is very complicated to make. And it also sort of uses a lot of different resources than the first one. So ultimately it depends like what resource, in order to be more efficient, it depends what you want to use, but both are fine, for example. So I am planning to use the first one. So stators and AI limiters. So this one, I don't have a singular blueprint which makes electromagnetic control rods. Instead, I have a blueprint which makes stators. I have a blueprint which makes AI limiters. Those I'll plop as much as I need to make electromagnetic control rods. Because just the first factory itself, I need 24 electromagnetic control rods, which is not a small number. So yeah. So now I have two stators. So I did a blueprint for both stator recipes. So this is the 8 stators recipe. This is the this is the 5 stator recipe. I think I have underclocked this to 3 stators. The only difference between these two is the first one uses iron ore and chytirium ore, but the alternate recipe uses iron ingots. The reason I made this as iron ingots is because I need 50 iron ingots, which is split like 14 iron ingots to one part and like 36 iron ingots to the other part, which is very difficult to like actually split. So 50 iron ingots in, this will work. So that's the plan that I have. So both, I will, it depends on how much status that I'll need and which is more easier to obtain. If I don't have chytirium, I'll go to this recipe like that. So I made both of these recipes. So with that, so let's just, that was made earlier. So that was made in Blueprint Designer Mark II. So I can't really plop that down. So let me just put that over here. So that is one. And then this is the second one. Where is the output this side? So the first recipe just takes in chytirium ore, iron ore, it gets converts to steel pipe, quick wire, and then its status, which is a straightforward recipe, right? The second one though, this is iron ingots. This needs 36 iron ingots to make 9 steel pipes. This needs 14 iron ingots to make 24 wire. This is overclocked. I don't mind overclocking because I have way too many power shards. Then this is a steel pipe and wire. This just directly comes in. It makes 3 status. The reason I made those numbers is because I want that to be a good number which works with this. Like it needs 6 stators for 4 electromagnetic control rods, which means 3 stators for 2, which is a really good number. It's divisible by most of the things, right? So that's the reason I made 3 stator recipe. So that's one thing. So that's the stator recipe. Now let's take a look at AI limiter. This too, I have 2 recipes. The first one uses copper ore, chytirium ore, 3 AI limiters. The second one 36 chytirium ore, 14 plastic, 4 AI limiters. So depending on how much AI limiters I'll need, etc., I'll use the appropriate recipes. So I'll plop both of these down. So interesting blueprints. So this one chytirium ore, copper ore, and the final recipe is like copper sheets and quick wire, which gives AI limiter. And over here, this is plastic. Plastic is a raw resource, so I'll just take the 10. And over here, it's chytirium ore to chytirium ingots, which is quick wire, and then it's AI limiters. So depending on what recipe, what number that I need, like for example, if I need 4 electromagnetic control rods, then I'll use a 4 AI limiter recipe. If I have something like 21 electromagnetic control rods, if that's the requirement, I'll use a 3 AI limiter recipe because I can plop 7 of those down and I'll be done with it. So for that reason, I did not make an electromagnetic control rod factory. I can make that, it's easy. I can just copy that, paste it over there, copy this blueprint, paste it over there, and that's it. Make a singular blueprint. I was like, that's not needed, so I did not make a blueprint separately for that. But yeah, that's the electromagnetic control rods. Then let's just get rid of all of these. Then it's the crystal oscillators. I have made a blueprint long ago for this, which is a 2 crystal oscillator recipe. This is a somewhat complicated blueprint. I think you can check it out in one of my earlier videos. I actually have a detailed walkthrough of when I actually built this factory. I went through every single part of this blueprint, and yeah, you can just check that video out if interested. But yeah, I'll be using this recipe. This just uses what does it use? 30 copper ore, 60 rock watt, 60 iron ore, gives me 2 crystal oscillator, which is perfect. I need like 7.2 crystal oscillators in my for my first factory itself, like the first set of nuclear power plants. So I'll have to make 8 of these. So right over here, the factory is already becoming too huge, right? And then the last one that I need is rotors, and I need 24 of these. That I have a recipe which makes 2.4 of these. This is a pure coincidence. This was an old blueprint and I don't know why I made it for 2.4 rotors, but it is 2.4. And for my factory, I need 24 rotors. Oh, that is such a huge coincidence. So all I have to do is make 10 of these and I will have 24 rotors, which is like perfectly balanced. Completely coincidence, complete coincidence, which just takes in 30 iron ore, by the way, and gives me the rotor. Very interesting balancing. I have perfectly balanced this. Nice. Okay. So that is rotor. That will give me the uranium fuel rod. So the first set of power plant is done. As soon as I get uranium fuel rod, you just put that into nuclear power plant, you get power and you get nuclear waste. So next, it is plutonium stuff. Sorry, pluton. Yeah. Next is plutonium stuff. So now I need so the first recipe for plutonium is the fertile uranium recipe, which takes like uranium waste, nitric acid and sulfuric acid to give non-fissile uranium. So over here, the nitric acid recipe. So there are two recipes. The second one is just bottled water, something like that. It's similar to that. That's useless then. So all I have is the first recipe, which is nitrogen gas, raw resource, water, raw resource, iron plate. So I just had to make a blueprint to put like one constructor to make iron plate and one what is that? One to make the iron ingots, right? So I really did not want to make a blueprint for this. Like this is a very simple thing. So nitric acid, I'll just make that. Then sulfuric acid is even more simpler than this. It takes sulfur, water, gives sulfuric acid in a refinery. So I can think of making this a blueprint because I do need 360 sulfuric acid. So I can make 200 so in one blueprint I can make 200 sulfuric acid because I can put 4 refineries in one Mark III blueprint designer. So which means I can make 200 sulfuric acid, right? If I don't overclock it. So that's one blueprint that I can think of making, but it's not a huge thing. It's not necessary right now. I can just make those individually. That's fine. So yeah, so that will just give me non-fissile uranium. That is done. Now the next part of that takes aluminum casing along with that to give me encased plutonium cells. Aluminum casing is a raw resource for my factories. So I make it somewhere else in the world and I bring aluminum casing to my nuclear power plant. So I don't need to worry about that at all. Now the next part of this is pressure conversion cubes. This is the difficult one. But I have made lots of these already. And the way that I'm doing it is I have a blueprint for fused modular frame. I have a blueprint for radio control unit. I put both of those and I make a pressure conversion cube. That's the only way I can actually make this blueprint. The reason being, I have this fused modular frame. I have this radio control unit. So this makes 3, this makes 1.2. So I'll just underclock this and make it. The reason this is the only way that I can make it is because it's this big. Right? So it's that big. And what is the other one? Radio control. It's this big. So yeah. Fused modular frames, radio control units. So it is literally impossible for me to put both of these in a singular blueprint. I have tried literally everything. This is very snug fit, by the way, and there is literally no space anywhere, especially this floor. By the way, any of these blueprints, if you want detailed explanation of how I made it, all of these are perfectly balanced, right? It takes raw resource and gives me final product. So if you wish to know, please go through my previous videos, every single factory that I made, like every one of these, when I did those, I have gone through these in detail as to how I made these, and I went through that. So you can just mimic that if necessary, if need be, right? So yeah, so this is a blueprint that I'll be using, and these blueprints are use just raw resources, as I mentioned. Radio, so, oh, that's nothing to do. Radio control unit, 16 quads, 18 plastic, 37 rubber, criteria ore, aluminum casing, 3 radio control units. So pretty straightforward. Just bring in raw resource and feed that. And just the same thing over here. The only problem that I have right now is how much of resources that I need. So for one pressure conversion cube, I need to put one blueprint for this and one blueprint for this, which already takes lots of resources. But I need 3.84 pressure conversion cubes just for one factory, which is like 4 pressure conversion cubes. So I have to put 4 of these blueprints, each of these blueprints down, and make it, which is so much resources. So much. It's way too much for me. But yeah, I'm planning on doing that. So yeah, so that is the factory which gives me plutonium fuel rods. As soon as I get plutonium fuel rods, it's done. I'll just feed that into nuclear plant and I'll get plutonium waste and power. So that's done. So the next part is fixonium. So now I'm getting plutonium waste. Now I need to use singularity cells dark matter residue along with plutonium waste to make it into fixonium. So singularity cells, this is where complication starts. Because this needs iron plate, concrete, dark matter crystals. These are fine. These are just straightforward, right? So as soon as I saw these 3, I was like, I can make this a blueprint. Nope. It needs nuclear pasta. Why is single window over here? Interesting. Those are also recipes. Okay. But yeah, nuclear pasta. Nuclear pasta, copper powder, lots of copper powder, which is fine. That's easy, right? I mean, that's a straightforward recipe, so I'll accept that. Pressure conversion cube though, again. So I need more pressure conversion cubes over here. And I need 38.4 singularity cells. Let's round it off to 40, which means I need 4 nuclear pasta, which means I need 4 pressure conversion cubes. Now I am back to this. So I needed pressure conversion cubes before. I needed 4 of those. Now I need 4 more. So I need 8 pressure conversion cubes in total that I need to make. So yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. Let's go back to this. Go back to this. So that's the singularity cells. So it became way too complex. Like I can't make this as a blueprint, but I have all the blueprints necessary to make it. Straightforward. But the raw resources though, it's quite quite a bit. The next thing is dark matter residue, which just takes reanimated SAM to dark matter residue. I have lots of reanimated SAM. I don't need to worry about this. That's straightforward. And that gives me fixonium. Now fixonium again needs to be used with electromagnetic control rods, fixite trigons, and excited photonic matters. Electromagnetic control rods, we already went through that, so I'll not go through that again, but I'll use the same recipes to get that done. Then there is the fixite trigons, this recipe. There is only one recipe, like which is using constructor 1:1, it just goes in. Codex for ingots, there's again the same thing, just I'll probably use the basic recipe iron. I definitely will not be using aluminum. Might be using Criterium, depends. But yeah. Is it that much more efficient? Yeah, it is. But yeah, I might use Criterium ingots. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I might just go through using iron ingots because iron is so abundant. I might just use iron. But yeah, but I did not make a blueprint for this just because It's fixed site trigons. It's straightforward. I can make those. And then the excited photonic matter. This, you just create it out of thin air. So the easiest factory to make for anything is the excited photonic matter. It's the easiest thing ever. So yeah. So as soon as you do that, you'll get the Fixonium fuel rods and dark matter residue. Dark matter residue is not an issue at all, because as soon as I get dark matter residue, I can convert that to dark matter crystals, like just directly. I don't need anything else, just particle accelerator, which of course use power, but apart from that you don't need anything else, and then I'll put it into awesome sync. So that's done. And then I'll get Fixonium fuel rods, which is just directly into power without waste. So yeah, so these are all the blueprints. So I went through all the blueprints. I wanted to make sure all the blueprints were perfect, so I went through all of those. So all the blueprints are ready. So I can just put all of these down and my factories will be ready. So making factory is not intimidating for me anymore, because all the blueprints are ready, the numbers are there, spreadsheet is there, everything is ready. So the next is just making the factory, which is the easiest part. The most intimidating part for me is bringing all the resources. Oh my god. I will probably have to use up all resources from so many different places, like etc. I don't know. And yeah, I do plan. There are some few changes that I'm making for my nuclear power plant, based on what I think works best and how a power plant should be thematically. So I'm making it like that. So yeah, so things are going well. I think the next video you should see my entire factory completed. Only the inputs will need to be put in. So that will be my next video. And the last video for nuclear power plant is with me showcasing it completely working and also completely built, etc. So yeah, so 2 more videos for nuclear power plant, and nuclear power plant will be done. In terms of videos, it's just 4 videos for nuclear power plant, but it's so much work. It's so much work. So with that, thank you everyone. See you guys in my next video. Bye.